Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another amazing episode on the Unleashing Potentials podcast. My name is Bernadette Desir, and I'm your host. And joining me today is Cristina. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks so much for having me, and hello to everyone who's listening.
Yes. Where about are you tuning in from?
I'm in Germany, next to the Bavarian forest, so
Whoa,
next to the Czech Republic.
that's so cool. That's really cool. What time is it there? It's 9:30 a.m. here.
Here it's 5:37, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so in the evening, yeah.
Wow. Wow. The world does spin in different time zones.
Yeah, time traveling.
That's so cool. That's really cool. Have you always lived there?
No, I'm Portuguese, so I lived in Portugal, and I only moved here about 13 years ago because of love.
Oh, love makes us flatter and fly.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, that's so cool. That's really cool. Happy to hear that. Welcome to the podcast. So happy to have you on to share.
Thank you, and thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So to start, Christina, can you tell us who you are and what you do?
I'm Cristina and I'm a mom. I have a 4-year-old and I'm also a parent educator. So I teach gentle parenting, or sometimes people call it positive discipline or positive parenting or respectful parenting. It's just different words to say more or less the same thing. So it's type of parenting that is both kind and firm at the same time. And I help parents do this while keeping their sanity because it is hard. And, being a parent is hard. So I focus a lot on keeping our sanity, how to keep your sanity while parenting.
Oh, I love that. I'd love to keep mine for a bit. Yeah, that's awesome. So tell us more about you, and then we'll get into what you do. You said you're from Portugal?
Yeah, I'm from Portugal. So for those who don't know, that's the most Western country in Europe. So it's next to the Atlantic.
Mhm.
And yeah, if you don't know it, it's a great place to visit. I recommend it. Has great food. I think when you move to a different country, you always miss the food, right? It's one of those
Yep.
things you always miss, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and one day I fell in love, and then yeah, I didn't like my job at the time. I was burning out. My husband loved this job, and so just out of pure what makes sense in that sense, that's why I moved, and he didn't move to
Oh,
Portugal. So that's how I
oh wow.
lost German.
That's
No,
really
I'm not.
cool.
I'm not. I'm just Portuguese. But
Yeah, that's awesome. So do you speak German and Portuguese?
yeah, I actually had to learn to speak German and Bavarian because here where I live, there's a dialect called Bavarian that is pretty different from German. It's a mixture of German and English, actually. So I
Hmm.
had to learn that also. And yeah, and at home, we speak actually three languages. So I speak Portuguese with my son,
Hmm.
and my husband speaks Bavarian.
Yeah.
And between us, we speak English. So my son is not even 4 and he can already speak three languages. That's how amazing kids are.
Yes, they are. They are. They absorb everything around us. That's really
Yeah.
cool. Wow. So do you have some fond memories from where you're from in Portugal?
Oh yeah, so many. The food, yeah. But also the beach. Yeah, I really miss the beach because where I live, Germany also has beach in the north part of Germany. It's very far away from me.
Hmm.
So it's not something you can just go on the weekend. And I'm from Lisbon, and Lisbon is very close to the beaches, next to water.
That's the
So
capital, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
So actually, it's not like I went to the beach every day, right? Because when you live there, you don't really enjoy it as much. But I
Mhm.
did get to go whenever I wanted. And that's something that I really miss. That's something I really miss. Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
bet.
also the people, because people are very different, of course, between countries, right? So even
Mhm.
though German people have also many things that I find very good, I
Yeah.
think there are many things I miss from Portuguese people. They are very warm people.
Mm. Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, because I have a sister in Belgium. She speaks Dutch
Oh,
and
okay.
something else, and she can barely communicate with us. So
Oh,
it's
really?
really cool. What was that?
She cannot speak English with you.
She can, but she struggles. She was very young when she went there.
Ah, okay. That's why I mean, we didn't really think, oh, we want that my son speaks many languages. It was more because I want him to be able to speak with my family in Portugal, which is also his family, of course. And of course, here, my husband wants him to be able to speak with his family here. So this is a way to make sure that he can understand everyone. And we speaking English is just because I don't speak perfect German and my husband doesn't speak very much Portuguese. So it's just the way that we can understand better each other. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Yeah, let's talk about what you do, gentle parenting. When did you start to do the work that you're doing now and why?
Yeah, actually, I never had heard about this. It was not something that it was just when I became pregnant, I started learning things about, like how to bathe a baby, how to, then it's about how to feed a baby. And there's so many things to learn. And I thought, I spent my life learning things and no one actually taught me these things that are actually so important and that everyone who becomes a parent needs, right? And no one ever taught me any of these, and you're just supposed to learn all by yourself. And it's like people expect that the moment you get pregnant, a lightning strikes you and you just get all this knowledge, and that's just so silly.
Yeah.
And then people say, what you don't know now, you will learn on the job. So don't worry, like you will learn as you, but yeah, if I want to drive a car, I would never tell someone, just drive the car and you will learn as you go, because that's just silly. And, and raising a human being is
Yeah.
so much more important than driving a car. Like there's so much more at stake, right? So I feel like I felt at the time that I really needed to learn how to do this, because and then that brought me into a journey, and I started learning more so about self-growth and all that, because parenting is a lot also about self-growth, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, that with time did course after course of course, and then I started like, what, I want to share this also with other parents, because I feel like this is something that other people will also benefit from. And I also want to continue. I want to create my own community of parents that believe that you can raise a child through love instead of punishment. I want to be surrounded by people like that. So I'm going to create my own tribe, because not everyone around me agrees on parenting styles, right? So I wanted to create my community. I wanted to share the message, and that just brought me to being a parent educator.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Yeah. Don't we all wish the kids they come with manual?
Yeah.
You know how to raise them, how what to do, what not to do. That would be fun.
And I think that like it's with everything. If I need to fix my car, I will go to a mechanic. If I need to, why would it be that if I want to raise my kid, I just have to know things by myself? That just doesn't make sense. It's okay to ask for help. And yeah, I think it's just
Yeah.
we really don't put much value into raising children. Very often, especially as moms, it's like, oh, you're just taking care of your kid. Like you're probably sitting on the couch the whole day doing nothing, watching TV, right? And your kid is just like, or you're playing with the kid. Oh, you have so much fun the whole day just playing with the kid. Like that's how society sees parenting, and especially how society sees moms. When in fact, it's really quite the opposite. It's very, very exhausting. It's very draining. And it is something that we need to learn how to manage our emotions. We need to learn how to be the parent we want to be, because I think that we all have in our hearts this belief that we don't want to punish our kids, we don't want to spank our kids, we don't want to scream at our kids. I think that no one wants that. It's just that very often people don't know how not to do that, and they don't know also how to control their own emotions, right? And it's okay to ask for help for that.
Yeah, yeah. I love that you say it's okay, because most of us don't feel that it's okay. And often when we're struggling, we feel that we're alone. We're the only one who's struggling, when really there are other people around us that are struggling that we don't know of.
Yeah, and I think social media plays a very important role into that, because we see, and that's why also sometimes people tell me things like, I think gentle parenting, I think that sounds really awesome. It's just not for me. because, I'm not a Zen person. I scream, I am a stressed out person. And I
Yeah.
always tell them, you know what? I also scream at my kid. I'm a parent educator and I also scream at my son. It's not something I'm proud of. It's not something I want to do. And I am learning and I'm getting better, but there is no single parent that is perfect. There are no perfect parents. There are parents that manage never to scream at their kids, but they screw up their kids in other ways. My mom, for instance, never screamed at me,
Mhm.
but she screwed me up in other ways. Like, there is no perfect parent. All parents will screw up their kids. And
Yeah.
this is something we have to come to terms with and have self-compassion.
Mhm.
Because just because you're a parent doesn't mean now you're perfect and superhuman. You're still human. You'll still make mistakes. And
Mhm.
actually, one thing I advocate is that it's really important we teach our kids how to make mistakes also, because when we show to our kids that because many of us, we grew up and we think of our parents as these perfect beings.
Mm.
And even us as grown-ups, that we rationally know that there are no perfect beings, we
Mhm.
still kind of idolize our parents in that sense that, like, no, everything they did, they knew what they were doing. But actually, when you think that you are now the grown up and maybe you have your own kids and you see
Mhm.
how you are, you can imagine that your parents were very probably in the same
Yeah.
situation. They
Yeah.
were definitely not perfect and they didn't know everything. And it's okay to say something like, my parents did some things that were great
Mhm.
and other things were not as good and I want to do different. And this is not disrespecting your parents. This is just trying to be the best parent you want to be, right?
Mhm.
And when we model to our children, I am perfect, like our parents did to us, maybe, where our parents were like, I know everything. And you really believe that, because children, especially young children, they believe everything, right?
Yeah.
So they believe that they also have to be perfect because mom is perfect and mistakes are not allowed, right?
Mhm.
So then you are setting your kid up for failure, right? Because your kid will never be perfect and they will always feel like they are not enough, that they didn't do enough. And this creates also this fear of failure, fear of repercussions, like where they don't want to do something, they
Mhm.
don't want to try new things because they are afraid to fail. They are afraid they are not good at it. And this is really, not allowing them to grow. So if we
Mhm.
want to, bring our kids into this world with a growth mindset, we need to show them that it's okay to fail, that failure is actually an important part.
Yeah.
And more importantly, how to make amends. So if I scream at my child, I will say, I screamed at you. I was mad. Everyone gets mad. Mommy also gets mad. And it's not okay to scream. It was not okay what I did. And I'm really sorry I did this. Because by doing this, we are teaching our children, like, first, it's okay to make mistakes. But secondly, when we hurt someone, we apologize. We make
Mhm.
amends.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I know for me, I want to be everything that my parents weren't to me, to my kids. And yeah, specifically my dad. He he screwed up pretty bad. And sometimes the things that we experience as kids or, preteen and whatnot, we we don't have a full scope of view of what it was until we're put in a situation to view it that way, like becoming a parent. And I'm like, oh, that's what I was missing. That's what I didn't have. That's what they should have done different. And that's why I want to be everything they weren't for me, for my kids.
Yeah, I think we all have childhood wounds, every single person, some
Mhm.
more than others, some caused by more one parent than the other parent, some caused by both parents.
Mhm.
And this is something that even sometimes when we are already with our own grandkids, right? We still are acting in ways that are just responses we learned as we were kids, right?
Mhm.
So this is something that we need to work on ourselves also so that we can be the persons we want to be. We need to be able to be like, okay, this way I react now, it comes from this and this that happened to me.
Mhm.
And at the time, it was a really useful way to deal with this. It protected me. It was with my underdeveloped brain that I was a little kid. This made a lot of sense. And it was the best solution I could find at the time because I had to do it by myself without any help.
Yeah.
And nowadays, I am a grown person. I am able to be rational. I know that this behavior is not helping me, that this is actually hindering my relationships, maybe with my child, with my partner, or even with myself, with my self-love, my self-respect. And so it's up to me to work on that, right? And to be like, what is
Mhm.
now a way that I can start? So reparenting ourselves. And that's also something that I strongly believe we all should do as parents, right?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing. And I also find that there's a lot of judgment and criticism, not only from the culture we're in by society, but also by the people that are the closest to us, by
Yes.
friends, even by partners and families. And I think sometimes we need to learn to set healthy boundaries when it comes to how we parent our kids, because we're all different for a reason. Why should we all parent the same? Right? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's, we as humans, we have this thing that because we need to defend our choices to our brain, right? Because not defending our choices would be basically saying we are wrong, and that's very hard for our brain to process. So
Mhm,
we hold on dearly to our choices, and one way how we defend these choices with our all our strength is when we see someone having a different choice, we criticize that because that makes us feel that we are right. It's a way of convincing ourselves of explaining why we are doing it wrong. So we take it very personally when someone else is doing something that is different from what we are doing, even though they are completely different people. And so that's why I always tell people there will always be people who will judge you, because we are always different people. We are all different people. We all have different thoughts and opinions. And there will always be people who judge you, no matter. I also teach this to my son, by the way, because I think this is an important skill, because other children, when they are like this age 3 to 6, it's still
mhm.
okay because they
Yeah.
don't really feel that yet. But when they get older, they start taking it personally. This person was mean to me. That person doesn't like me. And it's important we teach our children that there will always be people who don't like you. There will always be people who criticize you, because we are all different. The same way we don't all like chocolate, even though chocolate might be awesome. There are always people who don't like chocolate. So
Mhm,
if we are going to be judged no matter what we do, then we should choose to be judged for something we believe in. Because there's nothing worse, and I learned this when I became a mom, like in the maternity world. There's nothing worse than when you do something that is not something you believe in, or there's not something that feels good to you, just to please someone else, just because someone else kind of forced you to it.
mhm,
And then you get judged by another person, so you feel double bad. You feel bad because you're judged, and you feel bad because you're being judged by doing something you
mhm.
didn't make you feel good. So might as well be judged for doing things that you believe in.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Yeah, I agree. Um, for those who are watching, whether they're parents and for those who are not yet parents, what would you say to both of those people that are watching? Could be more than one person, but what would you say?
So if you don't have kids, and you are not sure if you want to have kids, I think that it's okay.
Mm,
I think it's okay. I think there's this pressure, especially to women in our society, that everyone should have a kid. And then you start seeing everyone around you as a kid, and you're
mhm.
like, oh, I have to have a kid. No, you don't have to have a kid. There's already a lot of people in the world. The world doesn't need more people. If
Yeah.
you want to have a kid, do it because you really want a kid, because all children deserve to be wanted, deserve to be loved.
Mhm,
And if you don't feel it in you, that's okay. I waited until I was 37 to become a mom. I think that it's okay. It's okay. If you have that calling in you when you're in your 20s and you're like, oh, I want to have 10 kids, that's also okay. But if you decide to have a kid, do it because you really want that kid. So that's the
Yeah.
biggest advice. And for those who are parents, my biggest advice is self-compassion.
Mhm,
Practice self-compassion every single day, because no one will come to you and say, "Sure, well done, great job." No one. On the contrary, people will
Yeah.
be like, you're lazy, don't do anything, being a mom is so easy. So it's
Mhm,
up to you to pat yourself in the back. It's up to you to pull yourself up. And this is
yeah.
something that needs practice, because our brain just naturally focuses on the negative.
Mhm.
So some ways that we can do this is, for instance, when you go to bed at night, just think of two things that you did good that day. And if you had
Mhm.
a really bad day and you cannot think of anything, just go back to the very simple things, like I matched my socks today. That was a great thing I did today.
Yeah.
But we need to reprogram our brains
Mhm.
because, it's a muscle. It needs
Yeah.
to be practiced, exercised. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Are there some projects that you're currently working on?
Yeah, what I'm working right now is I have this Facebook group. I'm building this community for parents of preschoolers. So anyone who has a child between the ages of 3 and 6 is welcome to join me. It's on Facebook and it's called Parents of Preschoolers. So very easy.
That's awesome. Yeah. So let's say people are watching this, they want to connect with you. How can they do that?
Yeah, so through the Parents of Preschoolers Facebook group, which
Mhm.
everyone who says preschoolers is welcome to join. Or if you don't have a preschooler and you want to follow and learn more about gentle parenting and about self-compassion, so even for people who are not parents, you
Mhm.
can follow me on Facebook or on Instagram under Changing Parenting.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Is there anything else that you wanted to share with us that we haven't covered?
Maybe just that you will never be perfect,
hmm
and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I have one question for you as we wrap up. What
Mhm.
is the meaning of life for you?
To be the truest version of ourselves.
Mm. Oh, I like that one. I really like that one. Yeah, thank you so much. Well, Christina, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for all you do. Keep shining bright and keep inspiring parents and
Thank you
kids.
so much for having me. That was really lovely talking to you.
Yes, likewise. Thank you.